Good afternoon, everybody, and you're very welcome to our first webinar. I know every sentence is prefaced with "we are in unprecedented times," but it is very true. I know many of you are going through some difficult times at the moment with business interruption and with staff on temporary layoff, but it seems evident that the lockdown imposed on us is having positive results now, and talk is now moving to the reboot phase, which is good. Now, I'm hopeful that the motor industry, along with the tyre industry, will be amongst the first to have restrictions lifted. But I think until government policy provides clarity, tyre premises are effectively closed unless your customer needs you on an emergency basis. Now, the reboot will have many challenges that we're all going to have to navigate, but as an association, we will work with you to guide you through this and to bring you whatever information we can on available supports. Now, we're also working in the background on some initiatives which we discussed at our AGM, which unfortunately seems like a lifetime ago. It was March the 13th. But what we're doing at the moment now is we're working on putting in place an Irish standard for tyre repair that our members can adopt, which will assure your customers that they are going to receive quality, the best in quality service when they're dealing with an ITIA member. We're also preparing a consumer campaign on the importance of checking your tyre pressure, which will be rolled out once we get back to what we can determine as normal. And we're also going to be looking at the next dates for our tyre technician development programme. So I'll keep you updated on all of those things, but today what we're here to talk about and to provide is some information on one of the government financial supports that is being delivered through Microfinance Ireland. And this support is specific to micro businesses, that's businesses with 10 and under employees. Now, this short presentation will give you the opportunity to understand the product, and I'm really delighted that Deirdre Parkinson, who is Head of Marketing and Channels at Microfinance Ireland, has agreed to join us today. And I suppose, as you can imagine, MFI are completely inundated at the moment with inquiries, so we're really grateful to Deirdre taking the time to talk to us today. So if you have questions at any point during Deirdre's presentation, please type your questions into the Q&A button. You'll see a little Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. So just click that, type your question in, and I'll keep an eye on the questions and we'll come to those at the very end. So with that, I'm going to now hand over to Deirdre and to say thank you very much again, Deirdre, and you're very welcome.
Thanks, Sue, and good afternoon to you all. It's a great opportunity for us in Microfinance Ireland to get our message out there and to show that there is financial support for small businesses through the current situation. I'm just going to share my screen now and go through a couple of short slides which will give you an overview of the what's available, specifically, I suppose, around COVID-19 and the current situation. So in terms of the COVID-19 business loan, this was a government initiative launched in early March, as soon as the pandemic was taking hold, to support micro enterprises. And as Sue mentioned earlier, the definition of a micro enterprise is any small business. It doesn't matter whether you're a sole trader, partnership, limited company, as long as you have fewer than 10 employees and less than 2 million in annual turnover. And so it's those businesses that we're there. Our mandate is to support those smaller businesses. The COVID-19 loan from Microfinance Ireland is a support fund. So we've had a lot of inquiries as well from businesses who are looking at, as Sue mentioned, the reboot and the restart and taking their business in a different direction. We do have other packages available, but today I'm going to specifically look at the COVID-19 loan, because that is for businesses who are currently closed or severely impacted by the coronavirus. So I'll give you a sense, an overview of it. But in essence, it's a business loan from between 5,000 and 50,000. So as I said already, to be eligible to apply, you must be a micro enterprise, but it doesn't matter whether how your business is set up. You also have to be experiencing a negative impact due to COVID-19. And what that means is that a minimum of 15% of actual or projected turnover has reduced. Now, when this product was launched back in the middle of, we launched it on the 13th of March. Again, it does feel like a lifetime ago. A lot of businesses were still operating and still open. But now, you know, from the lockdown, most businesses will meet that criteria. And the other thing to say is that Microfinance Ireland is there to help businesses who can't get access to finance from other commercial lenders, mainly from banks and other commercial providers. So we're there to help those businesses that wouldn't ordinarily get access to finance. It would be fair to say that the banks, while they're supporting their customers, they do have stringent lending criteria, and not all businesses will be able to meet that criteria. So we are an alternative solution for businesses who can't get bank finance. So moving on to talk about, well, what are the features of the product? As I've mentioned already, it is a loan from 5,000 to 50,000. And it's primarily for working capital as a result of COVID-19. So we will cover your overheads. And the purpose of it is that we want to support businesses that were viable before this happened and will be viable again when life somewhat returns to normal, albeit that we don't really know what that new normal looks like just yet. But it is to support businesses through the transition to help you get back up on your feet. So the loan terms are typical, because it's working capital, it's typically up to 3 years. But the good news is that for the first 6 months, there is no interest accruing and it's repayment free. So in a sense, you are getting a loan, you know, free money for the first 6 months. And then the loan will be repayable over the remaining term of a 30-month period. The interest rate on this is particularly attractive, and the government announced a reduction in the rate 2 weeks ago at this stage. But if you work with your local enterprise office or you're referred to your bank, we work with all 31 local enterprise offices around the country and all of the main business banks. And if you're referred by one of them or you submit your application through the local enterprise office, the rate is 4.5% APR. You can apply to us directly as well, and the rate is 5.5%. But the rate is fixed over the term of the loan, so you know what your repayments are upfront. There's no fees, charges, and if it's a thing that actually you do better, you know, in a couple of months' time or maybe 12 months' time, and you want to repay it early, that things have bounced back, there's no penalty for early repayment. So that's the product in a sense. In terms of what's required for an application, and it looks like a long list when you look at this slide, but actually it is, you know, basic information that every business should have. So there is an application form, and that's fairly straightforward. It's again, Microfinance Ireland wouldn't have any history of a business, any financial records of a business. So we're starting from scratch to try and understand the financial position of the business. So there's an application form, there is a business plan, and the business plan is a simple template. There's about 5 or 6 questions, but basically it's asking for, you know, who you are, what you do, how did your business operate before COVID-19, and what has happened since COVID, and why do you need the money in terms of what are the costs that you're trying to cover while you're closed and your turnover is drastically reduced. We also look for a cash flow forecast, and I suppose this is the one thing that people are struggling to complete, because who knows, nobody knows when businesses are going to reopen. As Sue mentioned there, hopefully the motor industry, the tyre industry will be one of the first, but we don't know that yet. So what we're saying to people is take a conservative view. All you can do is guesstimate on what your turnover might be, but take a conservative approach. Your fixed costs will still be the same no matter what. And so the difference between the two will be your working capital requirement. And it's as simple as that. And nobody either has a crystal ball or, a finite cash flow. It's like a startup business. You're estimating how your business is going to do. It's your best guess. We do look for financial information. And so that includes, if you have a business bank account, it's 6 months bank statement, but it's also personal bank statements for the promoters within a business. So if you're a sole trader, you may operate one account which covers everything, or you might have a personal and business account. Typically with a limited company, there would be a business account for the company, but we also look for personal bank statements for the promoters. And the reason for that is that we take a letter of indemnity. It is not a letter of guarantee, it is an indemnity, because under our legislation, we are mandated to lend to either individuals or the individuals behind a limited company. So we take a letter of indemnity, and that is just to put sole traders and limited companies on the same footing. If for sole traders and partnerships, we conduct a search within the Central Credit Register, but we look for a personal credit report, again, for directors and shareholders, anyone with a 25% or more shareholding in the company for limited companies. And we also like to see, financial management information. It doesn't have to be audited accounts, but it's something to show, the viability of the business before this happened. For loans between 25 and 50k, we also like to see your trade debtors and trade creditors, preferential creditors. All of the documents that I've mentioned are available on our website, and the address is there on the screen. But also, if you register your details with us on our website, we will send you out the application pack with everything that you need. So how do you apply? As I've said, number one there covers off the application documents. Well, the first piece is to gather the information. The one thing I'd say is, as Sue mentioned, we have been swamped. We are running at about 4 times our normal volume of applications. So I would urge you, if you are considering applying, just make sure that you have all the complete information before you send it to us, because we're all working remotely. It's difficult to try and manage it when there's bits and pieces coming in. So what I'd say to you is just to make it streamlined and more straightforward for yourselves as well, is make sure that you tick the box, and there's a checklist on the front of the application form to make sure that you have everything. And I mentioned the local enterprise offices earlier on. Again, if this is something that you would have a difficulty in pulling together the paperwork, the local enterprise offices provide mentors to help you prepare your application. So again, that is something that you can avail of, as well as the 1% discount on the rate. So all 31 LEOs around the country are helping people pull together their applications for the COVID-19 loan. So once it comes into ourselves, we have a panel of external loan assessors. Again, we've about 40 of them all over the country, and they will they used to go out and meet you in your premises and go through your application. They'll do it remotely through Skype or Zoom or whatever it is, but to understand, where you're at, what the position is. And we've come back with credit decisions in much less than that 10 working days, actually. Our turnaround time is about 5 days at the moment. And then once your loan is approved, we will issue you with a loan offer letter. There's a few bits and bobs that you need to provide us to draw down the loan. The funds are lodged directly into your business bank account. Your 6 months zero repayments begin. So in effect, you wouldn't be paying anything back until November if you were to draw down in May. And as I say, if you want to register your details on our website, we'll automatically send you out the application pack. So I just want to mention that you may know somebody, or you may yourself be an existing customer of ours already. And we're trying to work with people to alleviate, I suppose, some of the financial pressure that's there at the minute. So we have restructured a lot of our existing customers at the moment. And there's a number of options available, either, a top up on your existing loan, maybe restructure your repayments, whatever it is. But I would urge you that if you have a loan with us already and you haven't been in touch, a lot of people have been already, then feel free to contact us and we'll do whatever we can. But just to say to you that up to March, we were providing loans up to 25,000. And those standard loan packages are there for businesses who, a lot of it was startup businesses who had no credit history and would found it difficult to get bank finance. But it was also businesses that were expanding or diversifying or whatever. And those loan packages are still there. So it's not purely around COVID-19. And we've had a few, I suppose, businesses who are capitalizing, for want of a better word, on the opportunity that's presented. So, they're increasing their output. For example, they're making face masks and they wanted to increase their output, obviously. And so we've been able to help with loans there up to 25,000. While they're not applicable for COVID, there is up to 25,000 available for those type of businesses as well. So that's it in a nutshell. A whistle stop tour. I've put up our contact details there. We, as I said, we're a small company. There's only 13 of us in the company. Most of us are working remotely. Our address is there because we're still receiving applications in the post. And so one or two go in every day, but the rest of us are available on email, and I've put up my email address there. We're also on social media. There's more information on the website. So feel free, and I'm happy to take any questions if there are any at this point.
Okay, thank you very much, Deirdre. Really appreciate that, and that I think that gave us a really good oversight into the product itself. So if anybody does want to ask a question, please do type in, or we can come to your question. I suppose, Deirdre, just to ask you, you spoke there earlier about eligibility and not being in a position to avail of bank finance. So could you just expand on that a little bit and maybe give an example of where somebody might not, may have gone to the bank and then is being refused or can't get what's there?
Yeah, so when we were set up initially in 2012, it was in direct response to a lot of SMEs at that time, if you remember back, couldn't get any access to bank finance. And the way we were set up was that you had to go and get a decline letter, a formal decline letter from your bank before you could even come and talk to us. That changed in 2015. And since then, while we're there, as I said at the start, to address those businesses that can't get access to bank finance, it is, I suppose, a subjective call whether you would or you wouldn't. So most of the people that work in Microfinance Ireland are actually ex-bankers. So we understand how, how lending criteria in the banks work. And just to give you by way of example, we've had a number of cases, and this was before COVID, where long established businesses who had been in business for maybe 30 years had a relatively small overdraft, 10 or 15 grand, but were looking to refurbish their premises and they wanted to borrow maybe another 20. But because their overdraft hadn't achieved the credit days of 30 credit days per annum as part of their contract, they were prevented from applying to their bank. Another one where, if you have any direct debits unpaid in the last 6 months, again, that will, exclude you almost automatically at the start. So usually when we're talking to people, firstly, we would say we would encourage you to go to your bank first. We're a bit of a one-trick pony. We get you over the hump, and this is a very big hump at this point in time. But that it is important as a business that you have a strong banking relationship. But usually when we talk to people, and if they're unsure, there's usually something in the background that we will be able to tell them, look, you're probably not going to get it for X, Y, and Z reason. And therefore we will progress an application.
Okay, thanks, Deirdre. I think that's really insightful, because I think everybody will agree that in this current climate, there are a lot of issues that people are going to have in relation to payments and dealing with the bank as well. There could be difficulties, so it's great to hear that there is leeway. So if people do come and talk to you, where they're having difficulty with the bank and the situation that they're in, so that's great. Just another question for you there is, what if you've already, if somebody is already a member of or has a loan with Microfinance Ireland, can you be eligible for any funding under the COVID-19 scheme if you're already a client of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So before COVID, again, the maximum loan amount would have been 25 grand. And just assume for a second that you've borrowed 25 grand and your outstanding balance, it's down to 20, just say, and you come along and you say, look, my business is impacted by more than 15% of turnover. I'm closed at the moment. Well, there is a maximum facility there in that example of up to 30,000 to bring you up to the 50. So you can't exceed the 50. And we've had a lot of existing customers who have got top-ups. They might have, had 15 or 20 grand outstanding, and they need another 10 to get them again over the next couple of months. So we've been able to do that, yeah.
Okay. Great, that's good. Unless anybody else has a question coming in, I suppose just one more thing. I know you said there it doesn't apply to somebody starting a new venture, but just maybe to clarify, if you're going to diversify or you're going to offer a new product as a direct result, I suppose, of COVID-19, would you consider this?
So what we'll look at one of our standard loan packages, which would be up to a max of 25k. So we would look at that like any business coming to us for finance outside of COVID-19.
Okay, great. Right. Well, listen, thank you very much for that, Deirdre. I think it's been really good for everybody to hear what microfinance is all about, and I think it actually puts a face to microfinance for a lot of people. And I know that for anybody listening today, if you do have any further questions, you can contact Deirdre via her email, which you saw up there as well. And indeed, if you have any other queries that you want to direct to me, also anytime, just contact me via email or give the office a call. So I'd just like to wrap up by saying thank you very much for everybody joining in, and we will hopefully come back to you with another webinar in the near future. And if you have any feedback, please do drop me a line. Be delighted to hear from you. So thank you once again, everybody. Thank you to Deirdre for her time, and stay safe. Thank you.